Thank you, Minister, all the way down here. Thank you, Minister, for being with us today. My question is also focused on Canada's seal harvest. And during the Senate Fisheries and Oceans Committee study of the sealing industry, we heard many fishers' concerns about the management of the seal harvest. The sealers stated that too few seals are harvested, leaving many species at risk on both the east and the west coast. Currently, Canada doesn't have a seal fishery on the west coast. And in the House of Fisheries and Oceans report, it was noted that there have been informal calls to establish a West Coast harvest. So, Minister, has DFO, under their new emerging fishery policies, received any proposals to establish a West Coast harvest, and would DFO consider that possibility?
Madame la Ministre.
Madam Minister, listen, I'll tell you that having been on the West Coast in December, I spent a week there, and every single time that I spoke of seals, people were very uncomfortable with the topic. They didn't want to speak to me about it. But in the end, they told me that, yes, indeed, there are seals on the West Coast, and they are creating problems for the fishing industry. For me, sealing is a priority. It's much easier to talk about it when it's on the East Coast or in the Arctic, but I think there is work to be done on the West Coast. I think the subject could be addressed more openly, much more openly. But only 3 weeks ago, there was a seal dubbed Emerson, who, this was in Victoria, who was out on the streets. It was escorted back to the water, and it kept coming back. It was a real problem. It cost quite a bit of money to take care of Emerson. But I think that perhaps on the West Coast, there's some sensitivity towards opening a flourishing economy in the area.
That at least you're opening the dialogue on the West Coast. It was noted in the House of Commons seal report that of the 4,482 licenses that were issued by DFO in 2022, only 330 were actively being used on the East Coast. So does DFO investigate inactive sealing licenses to determine why there are so many licenses that are being given out but that are not being used by fishers?
Madame la Ministre.
Oui. Madam Minister, you're right to raise this question because we have not even been able to reach the quota in terms of captures. This is the reason why it's important to really develop this product in Canada and ensure that people will be able to eat it. And I can tell you in passing that it's a wonderful product, delicious when it's well prepared. It's a protein. The fur can also be used, and it would even allow Indigenous communities. And this is why it's so important for me to have their leadership. It would allow them to help Indigenous women with the furs. It's a product that can be used 80%.